back to let's get to our list. And please put in your comments if you agree, disagree, if you agree with our ranking. Put your rankings down in the comments. We'd love to hear it. It would be a lot of fun. And so we're going to start at our number 8 pick, and we both actually agree on this one.
Yeah.
And so, which one is it for you?
7 Part 1.
7 Part 1 for me as well. And I feel like this is boring. I do. I feel like you can tell it's a book that's stretched into 2 movies, and I don't think that has ever worked. And, you know, or The Hobbit with 3 movies.
Oh, let's not even talk about that.
And it's just, it feels like they're just going around getting clues so that everything can happen for the next one.
Yeah, I don't know. I love all of the movies.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are awful, and I would watch them all millions of times, including this one. But I had to pick an 8th. Yeah. And it draws it out way too long, and I feel like...
I was looking at my watch, honestly.
I was
bored.
falling asleep. And I still had fun, but they drew out the boring parts so long, and then in the second movie I felt kind of gypped because they couldn't spend as much time on the really exciting parts, and they kind of rushed through those. So I kind of wish it had just been one big movie where they did like the boring parts for a little bit, and then they spent more time on the really exciting parts.
I agree.
I didn't like how... okay, that's the second one. We'll talk about that.
Okay, so now we're going to give our 7th choice, and I'll go first. And for me, my 7th favorite is the 4th one. And it's really good. I like that you get to see the other schools and the other lands of wizardry. I think that's a lot of fun. I wish that we got to see a little bit more of those other groups in some of the later ones. Like I feel like, man, they kind of
just
slacking off, you know, during the Voldemort and everything. I mean, come on. And so I would have liked to see that a little bit more. But I thought that part is fun. I think it just gets a little drab and a little, like, it's moving, but it's, I don't know, just that whole maze sequence and the Cedric sequence is really long, and I don't know, it's a little melodramatic for me, but it's good. It's really good. So that's my number 7. But I think it's the first one that they were actually more, they weren't children anymore.
Yeah, that's...
In that one, so I do like that also.
I don't know, mine was also, my number 7 was also 4, and while I was watching it, I just remember being kind of annoyed. I don't know, I didn't really like Harry. That's my real problem, isn't that, in that movie, I didn't really like Harry, and I love Harry, but I didn't, you know, the characters seemed kind of annoying to me in that movie, and the whole maze thing, I didn't like it. It's
also the one that is the Christmas one, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's true. And I love the Yule Ball and, like, a lot of the aspects to it, because I still love it. I love all of these movies.
And it's the one where you realize that Emma Watson is gorgeous.
It's true. I mean, I knew that from day one. I don't know if you're talking about it. She's my favorite person in the world. Yeah, she's great. But she's, like, they all kind of become... They go from being children to being teenagers. And I guess, I don't know, I just kind of felt the teenage hormones, and I was kind of off-put by it. I didn't like how Ron was so mean to Hermione, and I get it, why they put it in there and stuff, but he's confused.
Yeah. But I don't remember the book, so I don't remember if that's the way it is in the book.
I don't know, I just
But anyway, so yeah, we both agree on those bottom 2. It's interesting. So this one we disagree on. So my 6th choice, and we like all of these. Just a reminder, we like all of them. So
it was hard to choose. It took a while, like 20 minutes, and she had to go, and I couldn't think of it as like a.
So my next choice for the 6th spot would be number 2. And just because I feel like it's really good, but I feel like it's a little bit more average. You know, it's sort of a continuation of, we've been introduced to the world in number 1, which is so much fun to get kind of your first step into the world. And this one, you know, it's still sort of in that Quidditch world. It's still in the schools and the, you know, getting good grades, and it's really cute and entertaining. But I would put it as like nothing that to me feels a little bit lightweight. Yeah, I love... Oh wait, no, I have to talk about my 6. Okay. Yeah, because you'll talk about 2 when you... Okay. So then your...
Mine was 5. I love it, but I don't know. I'm not a very dark person, and it was really heavy, and Harry was just mean, and I, in the books, it's just, I love it all, and I get why, and I know the plot line, obviously, and, it makes sense, but, because he was struggling with Voldemort, but just, like, he was just mean to his friends, and I just didn't like seeing him mean, and there was just a lot of things that I loved about it, and I really liked, the fighting club, and, like, Dumbledore's army.
Yeah, I like Dumbledore's army.
I really did.
That's really good.
And I like Neville in that one. I think. And 5 is like Order of the Phoenix. So
Order of the Phoenix.
there's a lot of good things about it, but it had a lot of had a darker tone. Same with 4, and I just I liked it when Harry was nicer.
Yeah, I get that. I do. So my next choice is actually 5. So I have it 1 spot higher than you. I felt like. It was interesting to see Harry kind of battle these two sides of himself, and you really see him as this, he's not just this perfect hero, he's not like an Avenger or somebody like that, that he really has this dark side, that's sort of symbolized by the scar, and so I think that's interesting, and I do really love the Dumbledore's army part. I think
really
that's
do love that.
So much fun.
And Umbridge is hilarious.
And Umbridge is a great villain.
I really do. I forgot to talk about that, but I really do. She's a great villain, and I was her for Halloween, and it was great. I was, yeah.
Creepy villain. Probably the creepiest, don't you think, in the series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like so passive aggressive and like evil. She was like evil down to the core.
Yeah.
She was just straight up Voldemort in a sweet face.
In a sweet face, which makes it creepy.
Which makes it creepy. It's like, but she's great, and I love how, I don't know, anyway.
Yeah. So, so what's your next choice?
Sorry, we wrote them down. Oh, I chose 1 because 1 is where everything begins, and that perfect drive and the whole mail thing, like the letters flying in, I thought was hilarious, and how they went to the island and Hagrid showing up, and I just, it was great, and how he sees Diagon Alley for the first time and gets his wand and all these new things, like the feast. When I first saw the feast, I was like,
great
I
use
need
of
to go
special
there.
effects in the whole series.
And it's just like, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's just used to enhance, not to not to distract or to, to show off.
And it was just like, that's when Harry first enters the wizarding world, and you kind of feel as special as he does, as he feels when he first walks in Diagon Alley. You're like, what? Yeah. The place is amazing. I want to be there. I want to live there. So.
It's really, really good.
And I think as the series goes on, then, that kind of, it's sad, it kind of dulls the magic of the Diagon Alley and everything. We're kind of used to it, but
it's true.
We can't forget, like, the first time we saw it and the first time he saw it. It was so amazing. And we just want that in our lives.
It's true. It's very, very true.
I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts line.
Yeah. So, the next one for me is number 6. And I think really just everything with Dumbledore and the complexity of Snape in that one. I mean, you never would have guessed that he would be the Half-Blood Prince, and that, spoiler.
No,
right?
I kind of guessed that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, she's smarter than I am. This is not news. But yeah, I never would have guessed that. That was a huge surprise to me. I was thinking, is it Voldemort? Is it, who knows? And I like, again, kind of going back to what I said about Harry in 5, is that I think that J.K. Rowling is willing to make her heroes really flawed.
I agree. I really like
and that makes them really moving. I think that Dumbledore is not perfect, and that took a lot of guts, I think, to make Dumbledore not perfect. And you get more of that also in 7. But
I really like that a lot.
But I think you start to feel a little bit of that. It was 6, and that he especially, and I guess more in 7, but that he lets Harry down a little bit.
Yeah, he really does,
And that's good. It just makes it a really interesting
That's another
story.
reason I don't like 5 very much, is because, Dumbledore ignores Harry.
Yeah.
And that hurt me so much inside. So you could argue that I liked it a lot just because I was hurt physically, and physically I was crying.
Yeah.
When he walked past Harry, I actually started crying. I was like, I can't handle this. They were chums, and now they're not. Not okay.
Yeah. So you're next.
My next one is 7 Part 2, And I really liked 7 Part 2. It was where all the action took place, and I thought that they did a really good job ending up the series well, and I was really scared because they dragged out into 2 movies, and I was just worried that they'd kind of ruin the last one, like they kind of messed up on the Part 1, and I did not want that because if it ends on a bad note, then people remember it because of the bad note. But it was so good, and one of the
you were pretty critical of it when it first came out, though.
Well, yeah, but like now that I don't know. I'm critical of all of them when I see them first. I'm like, well, that was kind of, because they're not the same as the books, and the book was better, but I'm talking about the movies. I'm trying not to think about the books. Yeah. Because in comparison to the books, there's a lot of flaws in these movies, and we could go into that, but I don't think you want to. And so Part 2, I was really touched when Lavender Brown was dead and died, and
oh my gosh,
he was eating her, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, and Fred.
I know. No, stop. I'm gonna cry. I'm actually gonna cry. Stop. I'm actually crying. Oh my gosh, I can't.
Okay.
Fred is my life. I would. And Sam spoiled that for me.
Oh no.
Our brother spoiled that for me. I was like, he's.
Our family is terrible at spoilers.
Terrible. And
we have no respect for spoilers.
And he was like, would you marry Fred or George? And I'd be like, I said, I think I'd marry George. And I had no idea. And he was like, oh, I would too, because Fred's dead. And I was like,
that's the meanest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know. And I was like, Sam. And he's like, it's not that big of a surprise. You would have learned in a book. And I'm like, I hate you. Leave. Yeah, you're not part of this family anymore.
That's horrible. But, yeah.
And I tried to cover. He was like, just kidding. And I was like,
I guess we should say, spoiler alert at the beginning of this video or something. If you haven't seen Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really sad.
I also really, I don't know, it wasn't in the book how Luna and Neville were how they were in love at the end, but I thought that was really cute.
I'll talk about it a little bit, but yeah, I think it's a really strong ending.
I really do.
The series, I really do, and just everyone is I think the acting's very good.
Yeah,
and
everything.
Well, my next choice is the first one. Is my third favorite of Harry Potter movies, just because you do get that introduction. And I think it's one of the best uses of music in the series, that the way that it just establishes such a strong theme with the John Williams theme, and it's just so whimsical and magical, and it reminds me a lot of sort of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because I pretend that Tim Burton Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because it's so bad. But so I would much prefer Harry Potter Part 1 to be the whimsical child adventure kind of story, for our era, because it's just sweet and fun, and it's just there's also sort of the Quidditch element.
Yeah,
and
it's
really
something that people hadn't seen before. Really.
Well, and I always respond to stories about characters who are sort of uncomfortable in their own skin. They don't like kind of who they are. They don't know who they are. And to see Harry finally, he gets to Hogwarts, and all of a sudden he's where he belongs.
I just kind of liked Ron. I really liked Ron. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he's great too. But I don't know, there's just something about it. There's just almost a sense of
yeah, he's
finally,
he finally fits in.
Yeah, and I really like that. So, okay, so what's your third pick?
My third pick is number 2, and I love number 2. I think it's great. I love how, in the first one, there's not really an element of eeriness at all. To me, it wasn't eerie at all. It was just kind of suddenly they get thrown into this big thing, and it was like, oh wow, Voldemort. But in the second one, then they have the writing and chicken blood on the walls, and Jenny is acting so weird. And
I actually recently just saw that on randomly. It was on TV, and so I just started watching it.
Yeah, and I just and the spiders, the Forbidden Forest being introduced to that for the first time.
Really scary.
The eating the unicorn's blood, all these different things started adding to the elements, because the first one I feel is, oh, this is such a great world, it's so fun, it's so gray and whimsical, and then the second one, and it kind of holds on to that, because even at the end they're eating the Bertie Bott's every flavor bean, joking with Dumbledore, but in the second one, then it kind of starts adding to there's dangerous creatures and there's scary elements to this world too, because there's good and bad and everything, and so there's tons of crazy whimsical magic, but there's also, like, really dark magic, and, you know, that Ginny is being possessed and stuff, like, and I also really like it that that's really the only time we really get to know Ginny at all, and we don't even get to know her that well, but I have problems with her and Harry, and, like, that whole thing, and...
Did he kill the snake in that one?
No.
Which one's that?
7 part 2.
No. With the underground.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, no, that's the last one. No, that's Neville. No. Yeah, that is Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big snake. Yeah, and I just thought it was so good. Like when even Gilderoy Lockhart's hilarious. He's so great. Hearing voices though, that's just freaky.
Funny. He's very funny.
And then I don't know. I just love a lot about that. Moaning Myrtle. Everything just starts to take a little bit more of an eerie edge and shows that there are also dark sides to the magical world that he's just entered. And I think that the first one and the second one really balance each other out. People don't really get that.
Yeah, I think that's all good points.